Welcome to the news of the week on the Evo India YouTube channel. And it has been a hectic week for all of us automotive journalists out there. There have been some significant bike launches. Harley-Davidson, Triumph, you'd know, they've been all over the place. As well as some really significant car launches from Kia as well as Maruti Suzuki. Let's dive straight into the motorcycles because they really are the most exciting news of the last week. First up is the Harley-Davidson X440. Now this is a motorcycle that has been co-developed with Hero right here in India, and it is designed for the Indian market and the Indian audience. So you get a 440cc engine that makes 27 bhp and 36 Nm of torque. And mind you, this is an air/oil cooled engine, and it is only a 2-valve head. So it is a fairly basic engine that comes in the chassis of this Harley-Davidson X440. In terms of the styling, it is a roadster and very unlike traditional Harley cruisers, but it does have a clear link to the other X-badged Harley motorcycles like the XR1200. The Harley-Davidson X440 is available in a total of 3 variants. So you get the denim, you get Vivid, and you get the S variant. And prices have been announced. You get them starting from rupees 2.29 lakh, going all the way up to 2.7 lakh rupees ex-showroom. Now the segment that this sits in, it essentially competes with the likes of Royal Enfield, with the new Triumph, with the Javas, with the Benellis. So that whole modern classic segment, which has a number of bikes and which Royal Enfield is the clear-cut leader in, that is the segment that Harley-Davidson is going after. The Harley, it is a little more expensive than the Enfields, but with that price comes a properly new engine, a new chassis, and the Harley-Davidson badge. Now the second motorcycle that has been launched in India is the Triumph Speed 400. And along with it was unveiled the Triumph Scrambler 400X. Now these are again 2 all-new motorcycles, and Triumph has chosen to build these bikes with Bajaj. So where Harley has gone with Hero, Triumph has gone with Bajaj. These motorcycles again compete in the same segment, so they've got their targets locked onto Royal Enfield because that is a massive lucrative segment. But the Triumph approaches things a little differently. Unlike the Harley, it gets a properly modern liquid-cooled engine. It makes 39 bhp, and you get it with a 4-valve head, fully modern, liquid-cooled, even though it has those air-cooled fins. Quality is top-notch, fit and finish levels are top-notch, and it looks like a really promising product. Now, there are some differences between the Speed and the Scrambler. The Speed is obviously more a roadster-like motorcycle. The Scrambler, well, it's a Scrambler. And compared to the Speed, the Scrambler gets a larger front wheel, it gets longer travel suspension, it gets wider handlebars, it gets a taller seat height. So, typical changes that you would expect of a Scrambler. Now, prices have been announced for the Speed, not for the Scrambler. And the Speed, the ex-showroom prices start at rupees 2.33 lakhs ex-showroom, just a smidge over the starting price of the Harley. But, and there's a big but, the Triumph has gotten an introductory price of rupees 2.23 lakhs for the first 10,000 units. So if you are keen on buying one, book one soon because it will save you a little bit of money. You can check out our walk around video, which is already on our channel, where Karan gives you a deep dive into what the Speed and the Scrambler are like in the flesh. Let's talk about the Kia Seltos Facelift. The Kia Seltos, it has gotten a facelift after 4 years of being in the market, and the changes are not so comprehensive, but I'd say they are important changes. So on the styling front, you get an updated face, you get an updated grille, headlamps, DRL signatures, bumpers. At the rear, again, the lights are different, the bumpers are different. It's the usual facelift business. On the inside, you get a couple of critical changes that really move the Seltos more upmarket. So you've got a new instrument cluster, which is fully digital. That's something the Seltos didn't have before. You get a panoramic sunroof finally on the Seltos. That's where it missed out compared to its cousin, well, the Creta. You also get a completely new 1.5 litre turbo petrol engine in the Seltos. Now this engine, it has been put into a couple of Hyundai products before this. So the Verna has it, the Creta has it, the Alcazar has it, but now it's finally in the Seltos as well. And another big talking point is the fact that the Seltos gets ADAS. So you get cameras and radars up front, and that gives it a number of ADAS features, including active collision assist, lane keep assist, you know the drill. Next up on the car launches, we have the Maruti Suzuki Invicto. Now, the Invicto is essentially a rebadged version of the Toyota Innova Hi-Cross, and that's very apparent when you look at this new MPV that is going to be sold through Nexa outlets. But there are some key differences between the Innova Hi-Cross and the Invicto. For starters, the Invicto will only be sold with the hybrid drivetrain. So the Innova, it does get a regular 2-liter NatAs petrol engine in the base variants, in lower variants, but that is not available for the Invicto. So the Invicto is only available as a hybrid. The Invicto also gets a couple of styling tweaks. So on the front, the grille is different, the headlamps are slightly different, the bumpers are slightly different. Similarly, at the rear, the tail lamps are a little bit different and the bumpers are a little bit different. But overall, it's very recognizable that this is based on the Innova. It's just a few tweaks here and there. On the inside as well, the changes are subtle. You get an all black interior with champagne colored inserts, small tweaks here and there to play around with things to make it look a little bit different. But there are some key differences on the features front. So when you look at the top end version of the Invicto, you do not get the Ottoman seats and you do not get the ADAS features. Those are two things that the top end of the Invicto misses out on compared to the top end of the Innova. But at the same time, in the same breath, I must mention that prices for the Invicto are out and the Invicto actually undercuts the Hi-Cross at the bottom end and at the top end. So at the bottom end, I think it's around 24,000 rupees cheaper, but that gap grows a lot more at the top end, where it is rupees 1.57 lakhs cheaper than the Innova Hi-Cross. Ferrari has unveiled a new car and it's called the SF90XX. Now, XX is generally reserved for their super special edition track-only cars, but the SF90XX is actually road legal, making it the first ever road legal XX Ferrari. In terms of the number of units that will be made, 599 convertibles, 799 coupes. So it's going to be super exclusive. It features the same 4-liter V8 engine as the regular SF90, but it makes more power and the engine itself is 3.5 kgs lighter. In terms of acceleration from 0 to 100, it is quicker in 2.3 seconds compared to 2.5 on the standard SF90, but it is slower in terms of its top speed, and that's because of the drag. The SF90XX is a track weapon, and that means it has a lot of downforce, which also contributes to drag. The downforce is supposed to be over 500 kgs, which is quite a bit. And a lot of this is thanks to the super aggressive aero that you can see all over the car. It's on the hood, the nose, everywhere. You can see the aero. You can see that this is a horned car. And here's a fun fact. The SF90XX is the first Ferrari since the Ferrari F50 to have a fixed wing. How cool is that? Now, while we're talking about ridiculous exotica, two ridiculously exotic motorcycles have launched in India. So we've got the Panigale V4 R and we've got the BMW M1000 RR. Both of these are top of the line super sport motorcycles that make incredible amount of power, are incredibly light as well. Now let's talk about the Panigale first. Okay, so the Panigale V4R gets the same engine as the V4, but it now makes 215 bhp. And if you put the Akrapovic racing exhaust and use a specific type of Shell oil, you can actually unleash 237 bhp, which is frankly ridiculous. There have been updates to the fairing, to the airflow, to the aero on the motorcycle, and you get top spec Öhlins suspension as well. The price? 69.99 lakhs ex showroom. Nearly 70 lakhs for a motorcycle. That is otherworldly. But then again, the motorcycle itself is otherworldly. Now, the Panigale's only rival is that M1000 RR. So let's quickly dive into the spec of this motorcycle. So the M1000 RR makes 209 bhp, but its big talking point is the weight. The power to weight ratio is off the charts, much like the Panigale actually. And the price is actually more competitive than the Panigale. So prices for the M1000 RR start at rupees 49.9 lakhs ex showroom. And the top end competition spec is priced at rupees 55 lakhs ex showroom. And before I sign off for this week, I want to tell you another bit of news, which is that the Evo India team, along with TVS Racing and Apollo Tyres, has broken the national record for the most distance covered on a motorcycle in 24 hours. We took TVS Apache RR 310s. We put them on Apollo Alpha H1 tires, and we did a 24-hour endurance run at the Natrax high-speed track, where these RR 310s were running at top speed for the whole 24 hours, except for when they needed to refuel and change riders. It was a proper endurance test of both man, machine, and tire, and the Evo India team has come out on top. I was one of the riders riding, as was Sirish and a couple of other boys from the Evo India team, and it was a properly wild ride. The old FMSCI record was by the Hero Honda Charisma, but there was actually an unofficial India Book of Records record by the Harley-Davidson Sportster S, a 1200cc motorcycle, and we've managed to smash that as well. The total distance covered at the end of the 24 hours was 3657 kilometers. An unbelievable achievement for an Indian-made bike on Indian tires. That's it for the news of the week this week. I'm Aatish Mishra signing off. I will see you again next week.